You get into a car accident and before you know it, the other driver is pointing the finger at you. Their insurance adjuster calls, acting like it's already settled. You're at fault. But here's the thing. In Georgia, fault isn't just about who yells the loudest. There's a legal process, and if you don't know how it works, you could end up paying for an accident you didn't cause. My name is Peter Jaraysi, a personal injury attorney who has dealt with thousands of car accident cases, and in this video, I will break down how fault really works and what you need to do if someone tries to pin the blame on you. Stick around for the end because I teach you how to deal with the other driver's insurance blaming you. Alright, so first things first, how is fault determined in Georgia? Now, Georgia is one of the states that follows what's called the modified comparative negligence rule. What this means is that if you are more than 50% at fault for the crash, then you are not entitled to recover. If you're 49% or less, you still can recover your damages. It just means that whatever you recover is discounted by the percentage of fault that is assigned to you. Now, with that in mind, let's take a look at the types of evidence that insurance companies consider when determining fault. Now, generally, the most important piece of evidence that an insurance company is going to look at is going to be the police report. The police report is key because in the police report, the officer, an unbiased party, is going through analyzing both sides and rendering his opinion. So if a police officer comes to the scene, does their investigation, and writes up a report indicating that you're at fault, then you're probably going to be fighting an uphill battle. But it doesn't mean that all is lost. Because at the end of the day, there are other types of evidence that can contradict what the police report has to say. And the two main types of evidence that we see to do that are witness statements and traffic cameras. Witness statements can be particularly powerful because they are witness accounts of exactly what happened at the scene. They saw what happened. Whereas the police, they're coming after the fact and conducting interviews, so their account of what happened is a little less reliable. And they're relying on secondhand information. The next best thing is a traffic camera, right? Actual evidence of what happened, or body cam or dash cam footage if you've got it. Having actual evidence of what happened will get rid of any argument that the insurance company has to make to suggest that you were at fault if you were in fact not at fault. But the truth is, in most cases, all you have to rely on is the police report. And under most circumstances, if there's a dispute as to who's at fault, and one person's saying one thing and you're saying another, the police are not likely to decide who's going to be at fault at the scene. And in the report, they're going to say, well, hey, we couldn't determine what was going on, so we're going to leave this up to the insurance. Well, so then what happens then? Usually what happens is the insurance company orders a report, they see what happened, and then they try and do some more investigating to find out more information about the case. One of the most common steps that they take is conducting a recorded statement of all parties involved in the accident. Now, during these recorded statements is when the insurance companies are trying to build their case. They're using every trick in the book to get you to admit any sort of fault so they can reduce their exposure. Now, I'll tell you this, one of the most common mistakes people can make is actually agreeing to do that recorded statement with the other person's insurance company. You're not legally required to do it, but insurance companies like to take advantage of people's ignorance, and they conduct these recorded statements and they do whatever they can to get people to trip up over their words and admit some form of fault in some form or fashion. They try to act like your friend and try to get you to say something like, oh, I'm sorry for the accident, or I'm sorry this happened, or something like that. Something innocent that you wouldn't think somebody would take and say, oh, that means you're at fault. But the insurance company, that's their game. They'll take any word that you give them, any inch that you give them to suggest that you were at fault, to absolve them of any sort of responsibility. My recommendation to you, stay away from recorded statements. Now, before we even get to the recorded statement, sometimes at the scene of the accident, the other side will be aggressively trying to blame you for the accident. Say, hey, you're at fault, or oh my God, I can't believe you did this. What I want you to do is stay calm and don't admit guilt. The problem is anything you say can and will be used against you, even if the police officer isn't there yet. What I would say to you is to just collect as much objective evidence as you can as soon as possible. Look around for any witnesses that may have seen what happened. Look around for traffic cameras to see if you can possibly get footage of the incident as it transpired. If you aren't able to get any witnesses or traffic camera footage, go ahead and take photos of all the information. Take pictures of their tag, take pictures of your tag, take pictures of the vehicle damage, take pictures of everything. The more evidence you have, the better. Then once you've collected all your evidence, any witness statements, traffic camera footage, photos, videos, things like that, just sit tight and wait for the police to arrive on scene. Once the police arrives, make sure that you are sticking to the facts when you recite what happened to them. When the police arrive on scene, make sure that you only tell the police exactly what happened. Stick to the facts. And when the police finish their investigation, make sure you request a copy of the police report when it's ready. You want to make sure you review that and check for any errors at all. Once you've got that, my suggestion to you would be to call an attorney, especially in a situation where fault really isn't clear. An attorney's going to help you navigate the process because it can get really complicated really fast. And there are a lot of holes that you can put yourself in if you're not careful. Attorneys also often have access to resources that a normal person on the road wouldn't. For instance, they're in contact with experts, accident reconstructionists, and have access to camera footage that most other civilians don't. All these resources can help you overcome a situation where the other side is claiming you're at fault when you really weren't. Your job is to preserve as much evidence as you can from the scene and then stay quiet. Now, what do you do if the other driver's insurance is trying to blame you and they're calling you directly, right? This is assuming you don't have an attorney yet. What are you supposed to do when the adjuster's calling you claiming you're at fault? My suggestion to you would be to let them know that you disagree and that you're going to be hiring an attorney to represent you in your case. If you so choose, you can give them a little bit of information and give them just the facts as to why you think you're not at fault. But I say that hesitantly because I don't want you to do anything that may jeopardize your case. And this is why having legal representation in a case like this can prevent you from falling into any holes and into any of the insurance company's bad faith tricks. You know, some people might be thinking, why is it that people deny being at fault? Or why is it that there's so many questions as to who is at fault if the rules are so clear? Well, the sad truth is that there are just a number of bad people out there that refuse to accept responsibility for their actions. And the other side of it is, well, people just don't really understand the rules, and they genuinely think they might not be at fault even though they are. And again, this is why it's so important to have legal representation on your side to help navigate these situations. We just covered how fault is actually determined and what to do if someone tries to blame the car accident on you. But did you know that the insurance adjusters actually have a script to pay you as little as possible? Check out this next video where I break down how to flip the script on them and the 10 questions insurance adjusters don't want you to ask after a car accident. We'll see you there.